First contact. The vast expanse of the Martian desert stretched out before Dr. Ilara Chen, her boots crunching on the rust-colored sand as she trudged across the barren landscape. The light of Phobos cast long shadows across the rocky terrain, creating an otherworldly atmosphere that still managed to take her breath away, even after 3 years on the Red Planet. As the lead xenobiologist for the first permanent human settlement on Mars, Ilara had seen her fair share of unusual phenomena, but nothing could have prepared her for what she was about to encounter. Her comm unit crackled to life. "Dr. Chen, this is base. We're picking up some strange readings about 2 clicks northeast of your position. Can you investigate?" Ilara adjusted her course, her curiosity piqued. "Copy that. Base. I'm on my way." As she crested a small rise, Ilara's eyes widened in disbelief. There, nestled in a small impact crater, lay a sleek, silver craft of unmistakably alien origin. Its hull gleamed in the dim Martian twilight, the metal untarnished despite the harsh environment. "Base, are you seeing this?" Ilara whispered, her helmet cam transmitting real-time footage back to the settlement. "Affirmative. Dr. Chen, proceed with caution. We're scrambling a support team to your location." Heart pounding, Ilara approached the craft. It was unlike anything humans had ever constructed. Organic curves blended seamlessly with geometric precision, creating a form that seemed to defy the laws of physics. As she drew closer, Ilara noticed a faint shimmer in the air around the craft. Some kind of energy field, perhaps. She reached out a gloved hand, hesitating for a moment before pushing forward. To her surprise, her hand passed through the shimmer with only a slight tingling sensation. Emboldened, Ilara stepped fully into the field. The change was immediate and startling. The harsh Martian cold vanished, replaced by a comfortable ambient temperature. More surprisingly, she found she could breathe easily, as if the field had created a pocket of Earth-like atmosphere. "Base, the craft is surrounded by some kind of life support field. I'm going to attempt to access the interior." Before Mission Control could object, Ilara had already located what appeared to be an entry hatch. As she approached, it irised open with a soft hiss. The interior of the craft was bathed in a soft, blue-green light. Strange symbols flickered across holographic displays, their meaning incomprehensible to human eyes. But it was the occupant of the pilot's seat that truly captured Ilara's attention. Curled up in a protective ball, clearly injured and unconscious, was a small alien figure. Its skin was a pale lavender, with delicate feather-like structures where hair might be on a human. Despite its alien features, there was something undeniably childlike about the creature. Ilara's scientific curiosity warred with her basic human compassion. This was potentially the most significant discovery in human history, proof of intelligent alien life. But more importantly, it was a wounded child, far from home, and in desperate need of help. Decision made, Ilara carefully lifted the alien child into her arms. To her surprise, it weighed far less than she expected, almost as if its bones were hollow like a bird's. "Base, I'm coming out," Ilara reported. "And I'm bringing a passenger. Prep the medical bay and get ready for a quarantine protocol. We've got a lot of work ahead of us." As Ilara emerged from the craft, cradling her precious cargo, she knew that everything was about to change. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. First contact with an alien species, but no one had ever imagined it would happen like this, with a lone human cradling an injured alien child on the desolate surface of Mars. The support team arrived just as Ilara reached the edge of the crater. Their expressions of shock and awe were visible even through their helmet visors. "Dr. Chen, the team leader, Major Reeves, said slowly, "Is that what I think it is?" Ilara nodded, her arms tightening protectively around the alien child. "It is, Major. And right now, it needs our help. We can worry about the implications later." The journey back to the Mars base was tense, with every bump and jolt causing Ilara to wince in concern for her alien charge. The child remained unconscious throughout, its shallow breathing the only sign of life. As they approached the airlock, Ilara could see a crowd gathering in the observation room. News of their discovery had clearly spread fast. She steeled herself for the barrage of questions and attention that was sure to come. The next few hours passed in a blur of medical examinations, decontamination procedures, and endless debriefings. Through it all, Ilara refused to leave the alien child's side, insisting on overseeing every test and procedure. It was well past midnight, Earth time, when the child finally stirred. Ilara, who had been dozing in a chair beside the quarantine chamber, snapped to attention as a soft, melodic trill filled the air. The alien's eyes fluttered open, revealing irises of an impossibly deep violet. Those eyes locked onto Ilara, filled with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Slowly, carefully, Ilara approached the chamber. She kept her movements deliberate and non-threatening, unsure of how the alien might react. "Hello," she said softly, accompanying the word with a gentle wave. "My name is Ilara. You're safe now." The alien child tilted its head, those mesmerizing violet eyes studying Ilara intently. Then, to Ilara's amazement, it raised a delicate six-fingered hand and mimicked her wave. The surge of excitement rushed through Ilara. This was communication. Rudimentary, yes, but communication nonetheless. She pointed to herself. "Ilara," she repeated, then gestured to the alien. "Do you have a name?" The child's brow furrowed in concentration. Its mouth opened, emitting a series of musical chirps and trills. Ilara listened intently, trying to discern any pattern or repetition in the sounds. "I'm sorry," she said after a moment, shaking her head. "I don't understand. But that's okay. We'll figure it out together." The alien's expression fell, a look of frustration that was startlingly human crossing its features. Then, to Ilara's astonishment, the child raised its hand and pressed it against the glass separating them. Without thinking, Ilara mirrored the gesture, her palm meeting the alien's through the barrier. The moment their hands aligned, a jolt of energy seemed to pass between them. Ilara gasped as her mind was suddenly filled with a cascade of images and emotions. She saw a beautiful world of crystal spires and purple skies. She felt the warmth of two loving parents, their faces blurred but their affection clear. And then, terrifyingly, she experienced the fear and confusion of a desperate flight, a crash landing, and the long, lonely wait for rescue. As the connection faded, Ilara found tears streaming down her face. She looked at the alien child with new understanding and empathy. "Oh, little one," she whispered, "you've been through so much, but you're not alone anymore. I promise." The child's eyes shimmered with what Ilara now recognized as tears of its own. A small smile curved its lips, and it nodded as if it understood. In that moment, as human and alien gazed at each other with shared understanding, the first true bridge between their species was formed. It was a connection born not of grand diplomacy or advanced technology, but of the simple, universal language of compassion. Ilara knew that the road ahead would be challenging. There would be endless questions to answer, protocols to navigate, and mysteries to unravel. But looking at the brave little alien who had traveled so far and endured so much, she felt a fierce determination take root in her heart. Whatever came next, they would face it together. And in doing so, they might just change the course of human history forever. As the Martian night deepened outside the base, Ilara settled in for a long vigil beside her new charge. The first chapter of humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead. Adapting to Earth. The soft hum of the shuttle's engines filled the cabin as Dr. Ilara Chen gazed out the window at the blue marble of Earth growing larger by the minute. Beside her, strapped securely into a custom-designed seat, sat Luna, the name she had given to the alien child. It meant moon in Latin, a fitting moniker for a being who had come from beyond the stars. 6 months had passed since that fateful day on Mars. 6 months of intense study, careful negotiations, and painstaking preparations. Now, finally, they were bringing Luna home, to a world she had never seen, but which Ilara hoped would become a sanctuary for the displaced alien child. Luna's violet eyes were wide with wonder as she pressed her face against the window, taking in the swirling clouds and vast oceans of her new home. Ilara couldn't help but smile at the child's enthusiasm. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Ilara said softly. Luna turned to her, a look of concentration crossing her delicate features. Then, in careful, slightly accented English, she replied, "Yes, very beautiful." Ilara's heart swelled with pride. Luna's ability to learn had proven nothing short of miraculous. In just half a year, she had gone from communicating solely through empathic touches to speaking rudimentary English. The xenolinguists were beside themselves with excitement, but for Ilara, it was the simple joy of conversation that mattered most. As the shuttle began its descent, Luna's grip on Ilara's hand tightened. "Scared," she admitted, her feather-like hair fluttering with anxiety. Ilara squeezed back reassuringly. "It's okay to be scared, Luna. This is a big change. But I promise I'll be with you every step of the way." The landing was smooth, but as the hatch opened, revealing a crowd of officials, scientists, and media representatives, Ilara felt Luna shrink against her side. The noise and bustle of Earth must have been overwhelming after the quiet of Mars and the controlled environment of the shuttle. "Remember what we practiced," Ilara murmured. "Deep breaths. Focus on my voice. We'll get through this together." Luna nodded, straightening her shoulders with a determination that made Ilara's chest tighten with affection. Together, hand in hand, they stepped out to face the world. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of medical examinations, debriefings, and carefully controlled introductions to Earth's environment. Luna proved remarkably adaptable, her physiology able to handle Earth's gravity and atmosphere with only minor adjustments. It was during one of these adaptation sessions that Luna's unique abilities first became apparent. They were in a secure botanical garden, introducing Luna to Earth's flora, when a sudden gust of wind sent a potted plant tumbling from a high shelf. Before Ilara could even react, Luna's eyes flashed with an intense violet light. The falling pot froze in midair, hanging suspended as if caught in an invisible net. With a gentle gesture from Luna, it floated back to its place on the shelf. The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on the small alien child who had just defied the laws of physics. "Luna," Ilara breathed, her scientific mind racing with the implications. "How did you do that?" Luna blinked, the glow fading from her eyes. She looked confused by the reaction her actions had caused. "Protect," she said simply, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. That incident marked a turning point in their stay on Earth. Overnight, Luna went from being a fascinating alien visitor to a potentially powerful and dangerous entity. Government officials who had been welcoming suddenly became wary. Scientists who had been friendly now regarded Luna with a mixture of fear and covetousness. But through it all, Ilara remained a steadfast protector and advocate for Luna. She fought tirelessly against those who wanted to turn the child into a lab experiment or a weapon, insisting that Luna's well-being and autonomy were paramount. It was Ilara who first noticed the toll the constant tests and scrutiny were taking on Luna. The child's vivacious spirit was dimming, her natural curiosity giving way to wariness and withdrawal. "Enough," Ilara declared one day, standing firm against a panel of stern-faced officials. "Luna is a child, not a science project. She needs stability, education, and most importantly, a chance to just be a kid." Her impassioned plea, backed by months of diligent work and impeccable ethics, finally won out. With strict protocols in place and under Ilara's guardianship, Luna was allowed to leave the confines of the research facility and experience a more normal life. Their new home was a modest house on the outskirts of a small town, chosen for its privacy and proximity to nature. Luna's eyes lit up as she explored each room, marveling at the simple things Ilara had long taken for granted. The softness of carpet under bare feet, the warmth of sunlight streaming through windows, the soothing patter of rain on the roof. As Luna settled into her new life, her abilities continued to develop in surprising ways. She could move objects with her mind, communicate with plants and animals, and even manipulate energy fields in ways that defied scientific explanation. But more remarkable to Ilara was the way Luna's personality blossomed. The alien child proved to be endlessly curious, kind-hearted, and possessed of a mischievous sense of humor. She delighted in learning about Earth's cultures and customs, often asking questions that made Ilara see her own world in a new light. "Why do humans wear shoes?" Luna asked one day as they walked through a nearby park. "Feet want to feel the earth." Ilara chuckled. "Well, sometimes we need to protect our feet from rough or dangerous surfaces. But you're right, it is nice to feel connected to the ground sometimes." With an impish grin, she kicked off her own shoes. "Race you to that big oak tree." As they ran, laughing, across the grass, Ilara marveled at how natural it felt. In moments like these, it was easy to forget that Luna wasn't human, that she came from a world light years away. She was simply a child, precious, unique, and in need of love and guidance. But the universe had not forgotten Luna's true identity, and it was about to come calling in a way that would change everything. The day started like any other. Ilara was in the kitchen, preparing Luna's favorite breakfast of strawberries and honey. The alien child had developed quite the sweet tooth, when a sound like rolling thunder shook the house. Luna appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and recognition. "They're here," she whispered. Before Ilara could ask who they were, a blinding light flooded the room. When it faded, they found themselves surrounded by tall, imposing figures clad in shimmering armor. Their features were similar to Luna's, but harder, more angular. And their eyes held none of Luna's warmth or curiosity. The lead figure stepped forward, its gaze fixed on Luna. When it spoke, its voice was like music, but with a sharp, discordant edge. "Princess Lunara of the royal house of Astria, heir to the stellar throne, we have come to bring you home." Ilara's mind reeled. Princess, heir to a throne. She looked at Luna. "No, Lunara," in shock. The child she had cared for, taught, and come to love as her own was royalty from an advanced alien civilization. But Luna's reaction was not what the alien delegation expected. Instead of joy or relief at being found, she shrank back, pressing herself against Ilara's side. "No," she said firmly. "My home is here now, with Ilara." The lead alien's expression hardened. "You do not understand, one. Our world is at war. We need you, your power, to save our people." Ilara's protective instincts flared. She stepped in front of Luna, facing down the alien warriors with a courage she didn't know she possessed. "She's just a child," Ilara said, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. "Whatever war you're fighting, it's not her responsibility." The alien leader's eyes narrowed. "You dare interfere in matters beyond your comprehension, human. This is not your concern." "Luna is my concern," Ilara shot back. "I've cared for her, protected her, loved her. If you want her, you'll have to go through me." For a tense moment, it seemed violence was inevitable. The alien warriors raised their weapons, energy crackling ominously around them. Ilara braced herself, determined to protect Luna no matter the cost. But then, something remarkable happened. Luna, Princess Lunara, stepped forward, her small form radiating a power that belied her size. Her eyes glowed with that now familiar violet light, but brighter than Ilara had ever seen. "Stop," Luna commanded, her voice echoing with authority far beyond her years. "I will not let you hurt Ilara or this world. They have shown me kindness and love, things our people seem to have forgotten." The aliens hesitated, clearly torn between their mission and the undeniable power of their princess. Luna continued, her voice softening. "I understand our world is in trouble, and I want to help, but not like this, not through fear or force." She turned to Ilara, her eyes pleading. "Will you come with me? Help me understand what's happening and find a peaceful solution." Ilara felt a wave of emotions wash over her: fear, pride, love, and a deep sense of destiny. She knew that by agreeing, she would be leaving behind everything she knew, potentially never to return. But looking into Luna's eyes, she also knew her answer. "Of course I will," Ilara said, taking Luna's hand. "We're in this together, remember." Luna smiled, a mixture of relief and determination on her face. She turned back to the alien delegation. "We will return with you, but on our terms. No more secrets, no more manipulation. It's time for honesty and cooperation, not just between us, but with Earth as well. This world has much to offer, if we approach them as friends rather than subjects." The alien leader studied Luna for a long moment, then slowly inclined its head in a gesture of respect. "As you wish, Princess. We await your guidance." As preparations began for their journey to Luna's homeworld, Ilara felt a mix of trepidation and excitement. They were about to embark on an adventure beyond her wildest dreams, with the fate of multiple worlds hanging in the balance. But looking at Luna, the brave, compassionate child who had dropped into her life like a miracle, Ilara knew that together they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Human and alien, bound by love and a shared determination to make the universe a better place. Their story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Revelations and threats. The journey to Luna's homeworld, Astria, was a marvel of advanced technology that left Ilara breathless. Their ship, a sleek vessel that seemed to bend the very fabric of space-time, covered vast interstellar distances in what felt like mere moments. As they traveled, Luna, or Princess Lunara, as the crew reverently called her, filled Ilara in on the history and current state of her people. "Our world was once a beacon of peace and progress in the galaxy," Luna explained, her young face solemn beyond her years. "But power and greed corrupted many of our leaders. A civil war broke out, tearing our society apart." Ilara listened intently, her heart aching for the pain in Luna's voice. "Is that why your parents sent you away?" Luna nodded, her feather-like hair rippling with emotion. "They knew I would be a target. My abilities, they're rare among our people. Some believe they're the key to ultimate power." As Luna spoke, Ilara couldn't help but marvel at how much the child had matured in such a short time. It was as if the weight of her true identity had awakened something within her, a wisdom and strength that had lain dormant until now. Their arrival on Astria was both awe-inspiring and deeply unsettling. The planet was a vision of alien beauty, crystal spires reaching towards purple skies, floating gardens teeming with bioluminescent flora, and technology so advanced it seemed like magic to Ilara's eyes. But beneath the surface splendor, tension crackled like static electricity. As they were escorted to the royal palace, Ilara noticed the wary glances, the hushed whispers that followed in their wake. Luna's return was clearly a momentous event, but whether it was welcomed or feared remained to be seen. The throne room was a cathedral-like space, its vaulted ceilings adorned with what looked like living constellations. At its center stood two thrones, occupied by regal figures who could only be Luna's parents, the king and queen of Astria. As Luna stepped forward, a hush fell over the assembled court. The queen rose, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Lunara, my child," she breathed, her voice a melody of joy and sorrow. "You've come home at last." The reunion was bittersweet, filled with embraces and explanations, laughter and tears. Ilara stood to the side, feeling both privileged to witness this moment and acutely aware of her status as an outsider. But Luna, true to her word, refused to let Ilara be sidelined. "This is Dr. Ilara Chen," she announced to the court, her small hand firmly grasping Ilara's. "She saved me, protected me, and taught me more about love and compassion than I ever could have learned here. She is my family too, and she will be treated with the same respect you show me." A murmur rippled through the crowd, but the king raised a hand for silence. He studied Ilara with eyes that seemed to peer into her very soul. "Dr. Chen," he said at last, his voice deep and resonant, "you have our eternal gratitude for safeguarding our daughter. Astria welcomes you as an honored guest." Ilara bowed, struggling to find words adequate for the situation. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what anyone would do for a child in need." A sad smile crossed the king's face. "If only that were true, Dr. Chen. Your kindness is rarer than you know, especially in these troubled times." As if summoned by his words, a commotion erupted at the far end of the throne room. A group of Astrians burst in, their faces contorted with anger and fear. The Void Hunters approach. One of them cried, "Our outer defenses have fallen." The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly from joy to grim determination. The king turned to Luna, his expression heavy with regret. "I'm sorry, my daughter. I had hoped to give you more time to adjust, but fate is not so kind. We need you now." Luna straightened, her small frame somehow seeming to grow larger. "Tell me what I must do, Father." As the king began to explain, Ilara's scientific mind struggled to keep up with talk of quantum fields, psychic amplifiers, and concepts that defied her understanding of physics. But one thing was clear. Luna's unique abilities were central to Astria's defense against this new threat. "Wait," Ilara interjected, unable to stay silent any longer. "You can't seriously be considering putting a child on the front lines of a war." The queen turned to her eyes filled with a mixture of sympathy and steel. "Dr. Chen, I understand your concern, but you must understand. Lenora is not just any child. Her powers, fully realized, could turn the tide of this conflict and save countless lives." Ilara felt her protective instincts flaring. "At what cost? You're asking her to bear a burden that would crush most adults. There has to be another way." Before anyone could respond, a deafening boom shook the palace. Through the vast windows, Ilara saw a terrifying sight. A fleet of ominous black ships descending from the violet sky, their hulls crackling with dark energy. "The Void Hunters," Luna whispered, her face pale but determined. "They've come for me." The next few hours were a blur of activity. As the palace's defenses engaged, holding the invaders at bay, Luna was whisked away to a secure chamber deep within the mountain the palace was built upon. Ilara, refusing to leave the child's side, followed. The chamber was a marvel of Astrian technology, filled with pulsing crystals and humming machinery that Ilara could barely comprehend. At its center stood a raised platform, surrounded by a series of concentric rings that floated in midair. "This is the cosmic nexus," the king explained as technicians rushed about, making final preparations. "It will amplify Lenora's abilities, allowing her to create a psychic shield around our entire world." Ilara watched with growing unease as Luna was fitted with a delicate circlet, its crystals pulsing in time with the larger machinery. "And what will this do to her?" she demanded. "What are the risks?" A shadow crossed the king's face. "There is a chance the strain could be too much for her, but without her power, our world will fall. Millions will die or be enslaved by the Void Hunters." Luna looked up at Ilara, her violet eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resolve. "I have to try, Ilara. I can't let my people suffer if there's something I can do to help." Ilara knelt beside her, taking Luna's small hands in her own. "I understand, sweetheart, but you don't have to do this alone." An idea, wild and possibly foolish, began to form in her mind. "Your Majesty," she said, turning to the king, "is there any way I could, I don't know, share the burden somehow? Link with Luna to provide additional support?" The king's eyes widened in surprise. "It's never been attempted with a non-Astrian before. The risk to you would be enormous." "I don't care," Ilara said firmly. "I promised Luna we'd face everything together. I won't abandon her now." After a moment of tense deliberation, the king nodded. "Very well. We'll adapt the system as best we can. But Dr. Chen, you must understand. This could kill you." Ilara met his gaze steadily. "I understand. but Luna is worth the risk. As the technicians scrambled to modify the Nexus, incorporating a second circlet for Ilara, the palace shook with another impact. The Void Hunters were getting closer. Finally, everything was ready. Ilara and Luna stood side by side on the platform, their hands clasped tightly together. As the machinery around them began to hum with increasing intensity, Ilara looked down at the brave little girl beside her. "Remember," she said softly, "whatever happens, I'm right here with you. You're not alone." Luna nodded, a small smile crossing her face despite the gravity of the situation. "Together," she whispered. The Nexus activated with a blinding flash of light. Ilara felt a surge of energy course through her body, unlike anything she had ever experienced. Her mind expanded, connecting with Luna's in a way that transcended mere thought or emotion. Through their shared consciousness, Ilara saw the true scope of the threat they faced. The Void Hunters were not just invaders, but cosmic parasites, consuming entire worlds to fuel their insatiable hunger. She felt Luna's determination, her love for her people, and her desperate hope that this gambit would save them. Together, they reached out with their combined power. Ilara provided the stability, the grounding force that allowed Luna's abilities to stretch to their fullest potential. A shimmering dome of energy began to form around Astria, growing larger with each passing second. The strain was immense. Ilara felt as if every cell in her body was on fire, her very essence being stretched to its breaking point. But she held on, focusing on Luna, on their shared purpose. Just when Ilara thought she could endure no more, she felt a new presence join their mental link. The king and queen, along with other powerful Astrians, had added their strength to the effort. Their combined will surge through the Nexus, pushing the shield to its final expansion. With a thunderous crack that seemed to split reality itself, the shield snapped into place. Through their shared vision, Ilara and Luna watched as the Void Hunters' ships crashed against the barrier, unable to penetrate its glowing surface. As the immediate danger passed, the Nexus began to power down. Ilara felt her consciousness returning to her body, the connection with Luna fading, but leaving behind a profound sense of unity and understanding. They had done it. Astria was safe, at least for now. As the circlets were removed, Ilara stumbled, her legs weak from the ordeal. Luna caught her, showing surprising strength for her small size. "Are you okay?" the child asked, her voice filled with concern. Ilara managed a tired smile. "I'm all right, sweetheart, just a little worn out. How about you?" Luna nodded, her eyes bright with excitement, despite her obvious fatigue. "I've never felt anything like that before. It was amazing." The king approached, his face a mixture of awe and gratitude. "You've both done the impossible today. Astria owes you a debt we can never fully repay." But even as they basked in their victory, Ilara knew this was only the beginning. The Void Hunters had been repelled, but not defeated. And now that Luna's powers had been revealed on such a grand scale, other threats were sure to follow. As if reading her thoughts, the queen spoke up. "We've won a great battle today, but the war is far from over. Lunara, Dr. Chen, we have much to discuss about the future of our world and your roles in it." Ilara looked down at Luna, seeing the weight of destiny settling onto the child's small shoulders. But she also saw strength there, and a wisdom beyond her years. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Ilara vowed to face them at Luna's side. Together, human and alien princess, they had already achieved the impossible. And this, Ilara realized, was just the beginning of their true adventure. Humanity's stand. The journey back to Earth was tense, filled with urgent discussions and hurried preparations. Ilara and Luna, along with a small delegation of Astrian diplomats, knew they were racing against time. The Void Hunters' attack on Astria had been repelled, but Earth remained vulnerable and unaware of the cosmic threat looming on its horizon. As their ship entered Earth's atmosphere, Ilara felt a mixture of relief at seeing her home planet and anxiety about the monumental task that lay ahead. How would humanity react to the news that not only were they not alone in the universe, but that a terrifying alien force was poised to consume their world? The ship touched down at a secret military facility, where a group of high-ranking officials from various world governments awaited them. Among them, Ilara recognized Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her former mentor and now the head of Earth's newly formed extraterrestrial research division. As they disembarked, Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her usually stoic face betraying a hint of emotion. "Dr. Chen," she said, her voice tight with suppressed excitement and concern. "Welcome back. I see you've brought some friends." Ilara nodded, gesturing to the Astrian delegation. "Dr. Tanaka, distinguished leaders, we bring urgent news from beyond our solar system. Earth is in danger, and we need to prepare." The next few hours were a whirlwind of debriefings, explanations, and increasingly heated debates. The Astrians shared their knowledge of the Void Hunters, their advanced technology causing both awe and alarm among the Earth scientists present. Luna, with a poise that belied her young age, explained the nature of the threat and the desperate need for a united defense. As the reality of the situation sank in, panic began to spread among the assembled leaders. Talks of evacuation plans, nuclear options, and capitulation filled the air. It was Luna who finally silenced the chaotic discussion, her small voice cutting through the noise with surprising authority. "Please," she said, her violet eyes scanning the room, "your fear is understandable, but it will not save you. The Void Hunters cannot be reasoned with or scared away. But together, we can fight them." Dr. Tanaka leaned forward, her scientific curiosity piqued despite the dire circumstances. "How? From what you've told us, our technology is centuries behind yours, and even Astria struggled to defend itself." It was Ilara who answered, a spark of inspiration in her eyes. "That's just it. Our technology is different. The Void Hunters won't be expecting it. If we can combine Earth's unique innovations with Astrian knowledge, we might just have a chance." The idea took root, spreading through the assembly like wildfire. Soon, a plan began to form, a plan that would require the greatest minds from every corner of the globe working in concert with the Astrian scientists. Over the next weeks, as news of the impending threat was carefully disseminated to the public, the world witnessed an unprecedented era of cooperation and innovation. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and knowledge. Ilara found herself at the heart of this global effort, working tirelessly to bridge the gap between human and Astrian science. Luna was by her side every step of the way, her unique perspective and abilities proving invaluable. In a repurposed aircraft hangar in Nevada, a team led by Dr. Tanaka worked on adapting Astrian shield technology to work with Earth's power grid. The challenge was immense. Earth's entire energy production was barely enough to power a shield the size of a small city, let alone an entire planet. It was a young engineer from India, Aditya Patel, who proposed a revolutionary solution. "What if," he suggested during a late-night brainstorming session, "instead of trying to shield the whole planet at once, we create a network of smaller, interconnected shields?" The idea was brilliant in its simplicity. By setting up shield generators at strategic points around the globe, they could create a patchwork defense that could be activated selectively, conserving power and allowing for more flexible protection. Meanwhile, in a secret facility beneath the streets of London, another team worked on offensive capabilities. They faced a different problem: how to create weapons powerful enough to damage the Void Hunters' ships without the advanced materials available to the Astrians. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source: Dr. Maria Alvarez, a marine biologist. Inspired by the powerful natural weapons of sea creatures, she proposed a radical idea: biological warfare on a cosmic scale. The Void Hunters consume entire worlds, she explained to a skeptical audience. What if we could give them indigestion? The result was Project Kraken, a genetically engineered bacterium designed to target and break down the unique energy signature of Void Hunter technology. When coupled with more conventional weapons, it had the potential to cripple the invaders' ships. As these projects and countless others progressed, Luna worked with a team of psychics and neurologists to develop a global early warning system. By enhancing the latent psychic abilities present in a small percentage of humans, they created a network that could sense the approach of Void Hunter ships long before any conventional detection system. But perhaps the most ambitious project of all was taking place in orbit. Led by a coalition of space agencies, and with significant input from the Astrians, humanity began construction on its first true line of defense, a series of orbital platforms that combined shield generators, weapon systems, and cutting-edge sensor arrays. Through it all, Ilara marveled at the ingenuity and determination of her fellow humans. In the face of an existential threat, people from all walks of life were coming together, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. There were setbacks, of course, failed experiments, political squabbles, and the ever-present race against time. But with each obstacle overcome, the sense of united purpose grew stronger. As the days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, Earth's defenses took shape. The orbital platforms gleamed in the sunlight, a testament to human engineering and Astrian guidance. Shield generators dotted the landscape, their energy domes shimmering into existence during regular tests. Military bases around the world stockpiled canisters of Project Kraken's bacterial weapon, ready to be deployed at a moment's notice. It was during the final stages of preparation that the first real test came. Luna, meditating with the psychic network, suddenly snapped to attention, her eyes wide with alarm. "They're coming," she announced, her voice echoing through the global communication system. "The Void Hunters have entered the solar system." The response was immediate. Around the world, carefully rehearsed protocols sprang into action. Shield generators powered up, creating a patchwork of protective domes over major population centers. The orbital platforms rotated into defensive positions, their weapons systems charging. In command centers across the globe, military leaders and civilian experts alike watched with bated breath as the Void Hunter fleet approached. The ships were just as Luna had described, vast, ominous vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. As the alien armada entered Earth's orbit, humanity held its collective breath. This was the moment of truth. Would months of frantic preparation be enough to save their world? The Void Hunters struck first, a barrage of energy weapons slamming into Earth's patchwork shields. The barriers held, but the strain on the power grid was immense. In London, Dr. Alvarez gave the order to deploy Project Kraken, launching canisters of the engineered bacteria towards the alien ships. On the orbital platforms, human and Astrian crews worked in perfect synchronization, coordinating their attacks with the ground-based defenses. Experimental weapons, born from the fusion of two worlds' technologies, lashed out at the Void Hunter ships. The battle raged for hours, the sky above Earth lit by the fierce exchange of energy weapons and explosions. Shields flickered and failed, only to be reactivated as power was rerouted. The Void Hunters pressed their attack relentlessly, but for every breach they made, humanity's defenses adapted and countered. In Nevada, Ilara and Luna worked tirelessly at the Global Coordination Center, relaying information and making split-second decisions that could mean the difference between victory and annihilation. Despite the chaos and danger, Ilara couldn't help but feel a surge of pride at how far they had come, at how fiercely humanity was fighting for its survival. As the conflict reached its peak, with both sides taking heavy losses, Luna suddenly gasped. "The network," she said, her eyes unfocused. "I can feel them all. Every human, every Astrian, united in purpose. We can do this." With a burst of psychic energy that left Ilara breathless, Luna reached out, connecting the minds of every defender across the globe and in orbit. In that moment, humanity moved as one. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians alike, their actions perfectly coordinated by Luna's telepathic link. The effect was devastating. Weapons fire from a dozen locations converged on key weak points in the Void Hunter ships, breaching their defenses. Project Kraken's bacteria, guided by the collective will of humanity, swarmed through the gaps, eating away at critical systems. One by one, the massive alien vessels began to falter. Some exploded in spectacular bursts of dark energy, while others simply powered down, drifting lifelessly in orbit. As the last Void Hunter ship fell silent, a cheer went up from every corner of the globe. Against all odds, humanity had stood its ground and emerged victorious. In the aftermath of the battle, as the adrenaline faded and the true scale of what they had accomplished began to sink in, Ilara found Luna staring out a window at the dawn breaking over the Nevada desert. "We did it," Ilara said softly, placing a hand on Luna's shoulder. "Earth is safe." Luna nodded, a small smile on her face. "For now," she replied. "But this is just the beginning, isn't it? Everything's going to change now." Ilara couldn't help but agree. The world had been irrevocably altered. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge, and not only survived but thrived. They had proven themselves on a galactic stage. As the sun rose on this new era, Ilara knew that the adventure she and Luna had begun on Mars was far from over. Earth was now a part of a larger cosmic community, for better or worse, and she had a feeling that she and Luna would be at the forefront of whatever came next. "You're right," Ilara said, squeezing Luna's shoulder gently. "This is just the beginning, but whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Astrians and humans united." Luna looked up at her, those alien eyes filled with warmth and determination. "Together," she agreed. As they stood there, watching the new day dawn, both Ilara and Luna knew that the greatest chapters of their story, and humanity's, were yet to be written. A new era. The months following Earth's victory over the Void Hunters were a whirlwind of activity, marked by equal parts celebration and trepidation. Humanity had proven its worth on the galactic stage, but with this triumph came new responsibilities and challenges. Ilara found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly to bridge the gap between Earth and Astria. Luna, despite her young age, had become a symbol of the new alliance between the two worlds. Together, they traveled the globe, meeting with world leaders, scientists, and ordinary citizens, helping to shape the future of human-Astrian relations. It was during one such diplomatic meeting in Geneva that Ilara received urgent news from Astria. The Void Hunters, though defeated at Earth, had launched a desperate attack on Luna's homeworld. The shield that she and Luna had helped create was holding, but the strain on Astria's resources was immense. "We need to go back," Luna said, her violet eyes filled with determination. "My people need us." Ilara nodded, feeling a mix of anxiety and excitement. "You're right, but this time, we're not going alone." Within days, an unprecedented joint Earth-Astrian task force was assembled. Sleek Astrian ships stood side by side with Earth's more rudimentary but innovative spacecraft. The best minds from both worlds had come together, bringing with them the lessons learned from the battle for Earth. As they prepared to depart, Dr. Tanaka approached Ilara. Her usually stern face softened with concern. "Are you sure about this, Ilara? You've already done so much. No one would blame you for staying behind." Ilara smiled, glancing at Luna, who was deep in conversation with a group of Earth and Astrian scientists. "I'm sure, Yuki. Luna and I started this journey together, and we'll see it through together." The journey to Astria was tense but filled with a sense of shared purpose. Humans and Astrians worked side by side, refining strategies and adapting technologies. Ilara watched with pride as the two species, so different yet so alike in their determination, forged bonds of friendship and respect. As they entered Astrian space, the true scale of the conflict became apparent. The Void Hunters had returned in force, their dark ships surrounding the shimmering shield that protected Astria. The planet's defenses were holding, but for how long? The Earth-Astrian fleet wasted no time in engaging the enemy. Experimental weapons, born from the fusion of two worlds' technologies, lashed out at the Void Hunter ships. Project Kraken, now refined and enhanced with Astrian biotechnology, proved even more devastating than before. But the Void Hunters were not so easily defeated. They fought with the desperation of a species facing extinction, their attacks growing more frenzied and unpredictable. In the heart of the Astrian royal palace, now converted into a command center, Ilara and Luna worked tirelessly to coordinate the defense. Through the psychic network they had helped create, they could feel the ebb and flow of the battle, the triumphs and losses of every ship in the fleet. "There's too many of them," Luna's father, the Astrian king, said grimly as another wave of Void Hunters broke through their outer defenses. "We need to find a way to end this decisively." It was in this moment of crisis that Luna's eyes lit up with an idea. "The cosmic nexus," she said, turning to Ilara. "Remember how we used it to create the shield? What if we could use it offensively?" Ilara's mind raced with the possibilities. "A psychic pulse," she breathed. "If we could generate a strong enough burst, we might be able to disrupt the Void Hunters' neural networks." The plan was risky, borderline insane. It would require pushing the cosmic nexus far beyond its intended capacity, channeling the psychic energy of every willing participant in the battle. The strain could be fatal for those at the center of the pulse, namely Luna and Ilara. As the details were hastily worked out, Ilara pulled Luna aside. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. "It's too dangerous. We can find another way." Luna shook her head, a sad smile on her face. "There is no other way, Ilara, and I won't ask others to take a risk I'm not willing to take myself." She took Ilara's hand, her touch conveying a depth of emotion beyond words. "But I'm scared. Will you stay with me?" Ilara felt her heart swell with pride and love for this brave, impossible child who had changed her life so completely. "Always," she promised. "We're in this together, remember." As the final preparations were made, volunteers from both the Earth and Astrian forces came forward to lend their psychic energy to the effort. Humans who had only recently discovered their latent abilities stood shoulder to shoulder with trained Astrians, all united in their determination to end the Void Hunter threat once and for all. In the chamber of the cosmic nexus, Ilara and Luna took their positions at the center of the amplification array. Around them, concentric circles of participants stretched out, each ready to add their mental strength to the coming pulse. As the nexus powered up, Ilara felt the familiar rush of energy coursing through her body. But this time, it was accompanied by something more: the thoughts, fears, and hopes of every being connected to the network. Humans dreaming of a peaceful future among the stars. Astrians longing for an end to centuries of conflict. And at the center of it all, Luna, her young mind a beacon of determination and love. "Ready?" Ilara asked, squeezing Luna's hand. Luna nodded, her eyes glowing with psychic energy. "Together," she said. As one, they reached out with their combined power. Ilara provided the stability, the grounding force that allowed Luna's abilities to stretch to their fullest potential. The energy built, layer upon layer, mind upon mind, until it felt like the very fabric of reality was straining at the seams. With a soundless explosion that seemed to reverberate through the cosmos itself, the psychic pulse burst forth. It swept across space, washing over friend and foe alike. To the Allied forces, it felt like a surge of strength and clarity. But to the Void Hunters, it was devastation. Throughout the battlefield, the dark ships began to falter. Some simply shut down, their neural networks overloaded by the pulse. Others turned on each other, their collective consciousness shattered into confusion and chaos. In the Nexus chamber, Ilara felt her consciousness beginning to fade, the strain of channeling such power taking its toll. Through their link, she could sense Luna's essence flickering like a candle in the wind. Just when it seemed they could endure no more, a new presence entered their mental link. Astrians and humans alike, from the king and queen to the lowliest crew member, poured their strength into Ilara and Luna. Their combined will surge through the nexus, supporting the two at its heart. With one final push, Luna and Ilara directed the full force of the pulse towards the Void Hunter's flagship. The massive vessel shuddered, its dark hull crackling with disruptive energy, before finally splitting apart in a spectacular explosion. As the pulse faded and the nexus powered down, Ilara felt her consciousness returning to her body. Every nerve ending screamed with exhaustion, but a sense of profound accomplishment filled her heart. Slowly, carefully, she opened her eyes. Luna was there, looking as drained as Ilara felt, but alive. They had done it. They had won. The days that followed were a blur of recovery, celebration, and intense diplomatic negotiations. The Void Hunters, their leadership destroyed and their forces in disarray, sued for peace. It was revealed that their aggression had been born of desperation. Their own world dying, they had turned to conquest as a means of survival. In a historic moment of compassion, the allied Earth-Astrian forces offered the remaining Void Hunters a choice: face justice for their crimes, or work to restore the worlds they had damaged in exchange for a chance at a new beginning. As the dust settled and the work of rebuilding began, Ilara found herself standing with Luna on a balcony of the Astrian royal palace. Below them, humans and Astrians worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the joy of victory and the promise of a shared future. "What happens now?" Luna asked, her voice tinged with both excitement and uncertainty. Ilara smiled, putting an arm around the child who had become so much more than just her charge. "Now we build something new. Earth, Astria, and who knows how many other worlds out there. We have a chance to create a future brighter than anything we could have imagined." Luna nodded, her eyes sparkling with the possibilities. "And us? What about our adventure?" "Oh, I think our adventure is far from over," Ilara chuckled. "Someone needs to help guide this new alliance, to make sure we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And I can't think of anyone better suited for that than you, Princess Lunara." Luna wrinkled her nose at the formal title, but her expression quickly turned serious. "I couldn't do it without you, Ilara. You're my family, my home. No matter what titles they give me or what responsibilities I have to take on, that won't change." Ilara felt her heart swell with emotion. She knelt down, looking Luna in the eyes. "And you're my family too, sweetheart. Whatever comes next, we face it together." As they embraced, Ilara marveled at the journey that had brought them to this point. From a chance encounter on Mars to saving two worlds from destruction, their path had been extraordinary. But looking at Luna, seeing the wisdom and compassion in those alien eyes, Ilara knew that their greatest adventures were still to come. The sun set on Astria, painting the sky in shades of lavender and gold. As darkness fell, the stars emerged, countless points of light, each possibly home to wonders and challenges yet undiscovered. Ilara and Luna stood together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever the vast universe had in store for them. Their story, like the cosmos itself, was infinite in its possibilities, and it was only just beginning.